What's up, you guys? It's Jonno! Welcome to another lit episode of Pokemon Unite. Today, I am going to show you all my best tips and tricks for how to snipe bosses. So, let's dive right on into it. Now, my number one first tip is to just go for it. Now, this may seem so simple, but you would be shocked at how many people just won't go for the bosses. They don't go for the bosses, so obviously, I do recommend to go for the bosses. You should be going for the bosses. They are the top priority objective on the map. They don't spawn for no reason. Alright, you guys, my second tip is to clear the area. Now, that could be just as simple as looking around for the enemy team. If you don't see them, then you're clear. You should go in for the boss just like you see here. Now, you can also rely on your team to clear the area for you. Sometimes that's very handy. I play Garchomp, which can put out an extremely large amount of damage on the boss, so it's very good if I go for the boss and rely on my team to clear the area. So sometimes that's exactly what I do. I just get in there on that boss and pray that my team is clearing the area. Now, another really useful tip, number 3, is to ask for help. This may seem so simple, you guys, it really may, but a lot of people don't actually know how to ask for help on the map. You have to hit the minus button on your controller. Push that minus button, and then you can click all around the map, and it will do different commands. You can Google those commands, they're not too hard, but I definitely recommend using those commands. It's really important to ask for help, and you just might be surprised. Your team might actually just come help you like they did on this clip. Alright, you guys, so that may seem super basic, but I'm telling you, asking for help and rallying the team and being a good team leader is very important. Now, the other thing that is extremely important, and this is a very useful tip, is focus on the boss. The whole reason you're down on the bottom lane trying to get Dreadnaw is to get Dreadnaw. So why are you going rubble, get the orange team? Forget the orange team. Focus on the boss. You're there to get the boss. Once you get the boss completed, then you can take out the orange team with your fancy shield. That's right, you guys. It's much easier if you just focus on the boss and try to get the boss. It's the intention of what the boss is there for. Stay focused on it, take it down, and you will get shield and XP. So just stay focused. All right, my number 5 tip is going to be get involved. Do not stay on the sideline. Get right underneath that Dreadnaw. Get right underneath that Rotom. Get right underneath that Zapdos. Get in there and get involved. Don't stay on the sideline. Make sure that you're in there doing damage to the boss as much as possible. Now, as you know, Garchomp is a melee attacker, so not every Pokemon has to get in there right underneath the boss like I'm doing. You may be able to stay off to the sideline and still attack the boss. Just make sure that you're attacking the boss, okay? Now, my next really important tip is going to be get the last hit on the boss no matter what, even if you die. All right, sacrifice yourself for the team. It doesn't matter, you guys. Stay laser focused, get in there, and get that last hit on the boss. Do it for the team! It's super important, you guys. Make sure that you just get that last hit no matter the cost. Now, here's another tip, you guys. Work quickly, okay? You never know when the enemy team is coming in there to try to snipe your boss out from under you. Anything you can do to speed up your work and get that boss taken down as quickly as possible is really going to help out the team. So, it may seem obvious, but work quickly. It will really work. Alright, now you guys, this is a very specific tip only for Dreadnaw. This does not apply to Rotom, and it does not apply to Zapdos. Do not try to score after Dreadnaw. Now, sometimes you can try to score. Look, I got in there and it looks like I'm about to score. Nope, I'm actually not. I'm overextended in the enemy base. I have no way to get out now. My team didn't back me up. Obviously, having a battle in the enemy base is a terrible idea, so usually it's not best to score after Dreadnaw. Just forget about scoring after Dreadnaw and run straight to the top of the map to get the Rotom. Alright, now speaking of the Rotom, here we are, and we got a couple of similar rules, but some of them are different as well. My first rule is to just go for it, you guys. Alright, now you'd be surprised, so many people do not go for Rotom. I don't understand why they don't do it. It's a very easy boss to beat. You can take it down very quickly. You get a guaranteed 20 points off of it, as long as it makes connection with the enemy base, and you get instant scoring ability, which is super handy. You'll be able to score points after Rotom, so that's really important, and it's a really critical strategy. Now, you'll see my rules are a little bit the same. Obviously, you want to clear the area. If you get a chance to defeat every single enemy Pokemon and get them out of the area, obviously that's going to be advantageous, so you need to do that. But there's going to be sometimes you just can't do it. Sometimes you just got to stay focused on the boss, and that's okay too. Now, rule number 3 for Rotom, ask for help. It's the same as Dreadnaw, and it's going to be the same on Zapdos too, I can promise. Ask your team for help, you guys. Use those in-game commands, even if it's just something as simple as, hey, I'm going to the top path. That's better than nothing, and every team needs a leader, so sometimes you end up being that leader because you're just the only one who knows how to use the in-game commands. So if you know how to use those in-game commands, go ahead and use them up. Do a solid for your team and make sure that they know where to go at the right time. Even sometimes I forget where to go and where to be at the right time, so make sure you do ask for help from your team. Now, here's another one, you guys. Focus on the boss. It's so important to focus on the boss. You could see that Wigglytuff on my screen. It was there. It was beating me up, and then it just ran away. I did not chase down the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff came back later to try to get the boss, but they couldn't get the boss because I stayed focused and I got the boss, and so did my team. So that's extremely important. Always make sure you stay focused on the boss. The reason you're up there on the top path is to get that Rotom. You're not there to fight the orange team. You're there to get the Rotom, score those points, and get that Rotom. Just make sure you stay focused, you guys. Now, don't forget to get involved on that Rotom. A lot of people skip the Rotom. Like I said, you can see that I'm pretty much the only one up here attacking the Rotom on half of these clips, and this is very common for me. So just go in there and get involved on that Rotom. Don't worry if your team is backing you up. Don't worry if the enemy team might be just around the corner. Just get started and work quickly and get that Rotom done, and you'd be surprised how fast it will go. Some Pokemon don't work as fast as Garchomp, but with my Garchomp, I get in there and I get involved and I get that thing taken down, and then I try to score afterwards because you get that instant scoring ability, and that is super duper important. So anytime that Rotom spawns on the map, early game or late game, I always try to get that thing. It's free points, and you get points to win the game, right? The whole point of the game is to score points and win the game. So obviously you want to get the Rotom. It gives you points. Rotom is not as important as Dreadnaw in the grand scheme of things, but Rotom is extremely important in its own right. And you can see my team just scored about 100 points just from going after Rotom, and 100 points is definitely a game-winning amount of points. So you don't want to forget about Rotom. Make sure that you make the trek all the way to the top path after Dreadnaw and go for that Rotom. And you can see the enemy team is just blind to this tactic. They have no idea what's going on the top path. They probably think they're so smart, but my team just scored 120 points on the top path only because we went for Rotom and the enemy team just didn't care about it. So it's really, really, really important. Alright, you guys, let's switch gears over to Zapdos. The number 1 rule for Zapdos is wait for the perfect moment. Now, you can't always do this, okay? So I don't recommend to just stand around and wait on Zapdos. But in this case, in this particular game, my team was garbage. They were doing absolutely nothing. I knew they weren't going to come and help me with the Zapdos. So I told myself I have got to take it upon myself to get this Zapdos no matter the cost. And even though I went down, my team was able to score and we did win that game. So just get in there and go for the Zapdos if you have the opportunity. Now, if you aren't able to stay and wait and just get that perfect moment for that last minute snipe on the boss, that's okay. Just get in there and go for the boss. Alright, you'd be surprised how many times the enemy team is so distracted, and if you are at the boss right at the minute when it spawns, you can take it down in about 10, 15, sometimes 20 seconds if you do a lot of damage, and then you can just get the boss done and score. It's so much easier than waiting around and trying to see if your team is actually going to come back you up. Sometimes you can just get in there and take the whole boss by yourself, especially Garchomp can do this, so don't worry about attacking the boss. Some people will get mad if you attack the boss too soon. I get mad if people won't attack the boss. People who won't attack the boss, they make me upset, because I'm like, what are you doing? But as long as they're attacking the enemy team and keeping them off of me, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. And sometimes I will ask for help to get them to come and help me out, and it is super effective. You can get your team to help you out so many times just by asking them and telling them what to do. So make sure that you hit on the map exactly what you want your team to do. It's very important. They don't know what to do if you don't tell them, and that's actually true. A lot of times they really don't know what to do, and sometimes I'll just tell everybody, hey, let's go to the center, and then miraculously they go to the center. So I will say it's really important to use those in-game command prompts. Make sure you're telling your team where you want them to be. Make sure you tell them what you're doing. Don't overuse it. Like, I probably overuse it. Sometimes I use it to roast people who are upsetting me, but you know what? As long as you're staying positive and you're focused on the match and you're focused on the bosses, you have a really good chance to win. Even if you use the in-game command prompts a little bit too much, your team won't mind as long as you're focused on the bosses and you're being helpful, and that's what I always try to do. Alright, you guys, so this is another clip where I recommend to get the last hit no matter what. No matter what the cost is, just stay focused on the boss and make sure that you use your strongest moves to get the last hit on the boss. Even if it's your Unite move and you only hit the last hit on the boss with that Unite move, that's fine. As long as you get the boss, then you're in good shape. Now, one thing I will say is you have to save your Unite move for the boss battle. If you don't do this, there's a good chance you're going to lose, especially if you're using the buddy barrier. You need that buddy barrier to get through the last boss battle. If all of your team has buddy barrier, and if all of your team saves their Unite move for the final battle, then you will be invincible for the final battle. Now, it's really hard to get your whole team to use buddy barrier. I don't even use buddy barrier sometimes, so just make sure that you are in there with your Unite move at the very least. Now, one thing I will say is I made a mistake here, and I did not know that you can't score on that center base until the earlier bases are destroyed. I think it's a glitch, honestly, because why do they show Zapdos on top of it if you can't score there? It's a little bit misleading. I've seen a lot of people make that mistake, so don't be like me and make that mistake. You cannot go to the center base or any of the earlier bases until the farther out bases have been destroyed. Just don't make that mistake like me. I left that clip on there to embarrass myself because honestly, I made that mistake a couple of times before I figured out what it is, and I just want to make sure nobody else does either. Alright everybody, so focus on the bosses. I know that's a silly thing to say on a video that's all about focusing on bosses, but people just will not focus on the boss. You can see so many of my team is not in the center, not attacking the Zapdos. Now it's good, they're in the right place at the right time. They're over there attacking the enemy team and clearing the area and keeping the enemy off of me, so that's fine, but that doesn't always happen. You have a lot of matches, I'm sure you guys know, where your team just won't go for the boss. So that's why my number one tip is really go for the boss. Don't sleep on the boss. So many people always sleep on the boss. Now you guys, my very last tip, and this is important, okay? Always try, never give up, all right? If there's a boss in the center, then run to the center and try for that boss. This was a miraculous clip. I came in and got the last hit on the boss with a move that's actually very hard to make contact with, and I got contact, and I got the very last hit with a very small amount of damage, and I was able to beat the boss. And why? Because I believed in myself, and I ran for the center, and I kept on trying no matter what. And that's what I want you guys to take away from this video. Just don't give up. Don't surrender. Keep on trying. Even if you don't get the boss, you can still win. Just because you lose Zapdos doesn't mean that you've lost the game. So anyway, just keep on trying, you guys, and always go for those bosses. They're the most important thing on the map. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you to my amazing subscribers, and peace!